Oh, it's arrived. One of the favourite things I do at the end of every year is make a photo book of my favourite images. It's not for sale, it's for my guests to enjoy, and it's for my future self to reminisce over. It's the culmination of a bunch of processes that'll make you and your audience appreciate your work better. It forces us to review our work, look at our styles and themes, and print something out in a physical way that we can view and enjoy. We'll talk about all of this in the video. A lot can happen in 12 months, and it's interesting to see how far we've come. I think it's really important to have a printed archive of your best work. It's more likely to be found in the future than any zeros and ones that represent an image locked behind a password on your computer. This is how I go about making my annual photo book. At the beginning of the process, I go through all of my sessions in the last 12 months. I want to pick a representative number of pictures from sessions with great images and sessions with particular people that I had a great time with. The final book will have somewhere between 30 and 40 images. I don't want it to be overwhelming, but in this first round of selections, I'll get between 80 and 100 images to give me some options in the final edit. In Lightroom, I make a folder specifically for the book and drag my favourite images in there. I make virtual copies of them so I don't destroy the original processing of the images. Editing the pictures is the fun part, and the word edit in the sense of making the book means the inclusion or exclusion of certain images and then putting those images into a sequence. Here we're picking images not for their standalone qualities, but for how well they might work with other images in the book, especially if they're going to be on the same spread. Some pictures, even if they're great on their own, won't make it into the book because they won't work well with the other images in there. The exact order isn't that important at this point. It's in the online printing tool where we'll make the final cull and decisions on sequencing. I like making a square crop of all the new versions because I'm going to be making a square book, and then I'll export them using a preset I made especially for the online print services. For a 10 by 10 inch book, the recommendation's 3000 by 3000 pixels, though I'll overshoot and export a 4000 by 4000 in case I decide on a larger book later on. For the last couple of years, I've been making square books with a full page image on each side. In the future, I might change it up and include text to say who's in the image and where the image was taken. But for now, I'm quite happy with the simplicity of the full image spreads. Square images are quite useful because I can easily crop a landscape or a horizontal picture to the square format. If it were just a portrait orientation book, I might have issues converting any landscape orientation photos I have. The square format splits the difference. I use a cheap and cheerful printing service to make the books. It's Shutterfly. I don't have a relationship with them, and I know there are plenty of other online printing services that'll do a similar job. I'm not looking for anything archival. For that, I print and bind my own books at home using a pigment printer and acid-free paper. The aim here is to have something on the bookshelf ready to show people. It's not precious. I want it to be viewed again and again. In the Shutterfly book tool, I dump all of my images and then I spend quite a lot of time rearranging their order. I try and make sure each spread is images that complement each other, either in style or in composition. I try not to have images of the same person too close to one another in the order. At this point, some images are obviously not going to fit in the style of book. There are others that I wrestle and deliberate with. The first of this style of book I made, I used a very low-key picture on the front cover, and I've tried to keep that style with every book I've made since. It makes them look like a set when they're on the bookshelf. I order 2 copies of the books. I've got 2 kids, and someday they can each have a set of books for themselves. Showing someone images on your phone is one thing, but if you pull out a book, even an affordable one like this, it gives the images an extra power. Even images that I thought were already good, images I was already proud of, they come out so much nicer in print. And I love watching people leaf through the pages looking for images they like and that they might want to replicate in their own portrait session. Assembling your favourite images for the year allows you to look at the improvements that you've made. And I think it's a way of realising what your style is. Style isn't something you necessarily aim to achieve. Sometimes it establishes itself through the projects you choose to work on, your equipment, your consistent setup, and the habits you get into. If you regularly print your own photo books, I'd love to know about how you go about it and what you gain from the process. Let me know in the comments below and I'll incorporate it into a future video.